Hello, this is the kubeadm office hours. Today is the 7th of August. Please add your names to the agenda and your agenda items to the list of agenda items. I'm going to share the link in chat. So today, what did you want to talk about? Let me share my screen. Okay. Yeah, so do we have any new participants on the list? Let me check. I don't think we have anybody new. All right. So the next item is PSA. I did a big grooming of the kubeadm repository, and I closed something like 30, 40 issues. Some of them were either stale or I had a pretty good explanation, a pretty good reason why we should close them. And sorry for the spam, but we are now down to 70 tickets. And we used to have something like 110. So that's good progress. Fabrizio told me on Slack that he cannot join today, but he wanted to talk about the customized PR he has open. We needed a top-level approval because his PR is touching the Go modules file. Because kubectl is now outside of 3. And they used to vendor customize, but now kubectl is going out. So we had to introduce customize again in Kubernetes because of kubeadm. And this required us to update Go module file. And we had to assign a top-level approval. We got Jordan, and Jordan saw some potential problems, perhaps. It's already responded, but Jordan requested further review from Jeff Reagan. Overall, this is not a big blocker, but we basically might have to wait a little more before this review extends. Okay. Tim, you wanted to talk about KubeCon?
Yeah, per request from the main meeting, the talk has been submitted for kubeadm for Iago and Fabrizio to do the kubeadm talk for KubeCon North America, which I think is good. It's good to have new and old and rotate people around and get different people speaking. Just a reminder that there's typically 3 venues a year, so we traditionally had sparse attendance on KubeCon China from the SIG. I think it'd be nice to, as we think forwards for next year, to get maybe some other folks involved in the KubeCon China talks, or Asia now, I guess. I don't know if it's going to be strictly China or if it'll be Asia now.
Yeah, it has been Alexander who has been leading over there. We also had Peter, Dixu, and now Sata QE. We have people that can rotate there as well, as long as they are attending the KubeCon Asia. For NA, I'm sorry I cannot go, but I'm happy that Iago can also, go and present with Fabrizio. So, Arvind, there, you wanted to talk about dual stack?
Hi, guys. Again, another quick update. I submitted I made the changes suggested by the reviewers for the supporting a list of pod sliders for dual stack. Please have a look when you have time to that PR, and there's a secondary PR for end-to-end testing of the same list of pod sliders. Please have a look at that.
Yeah, so these are old comments. I'm trying to remember the comments from today. My memory is not very good already. Yeah. So yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, today's comments I'll take a look at. I think you're the only one who reviewed post like the new updates that I made. But I'll most definitely take a look at your comments. I think they were pretty minor from a quick glance that I did.
Yeah, that was my biggest question about the because we have a lot of if branches. I wanted to attempt to simplify, but then you responded that my observation is not correct about how the dual stack logic is going to work. So overall, I think I'm fine with this. So I added a proof. If somebody else can have a look for LGTM, I think this PR is pretty good. You only had to, I think, update the variable name that I requested.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take another look on this.
I think Yassine and maybe Fabrizio, if they have time.
Okay, thanks. Let's have a quick look at the other one. I think it should be good to go already. Okay, so this is the networking test. It only has a single dual stack test. I requested this, sorry, to not spotting them earlier. Yeah, this is the new test. I think it's pretty good at this point. Let me see what label I added. So LGTM approved at this point. I mean, anybody can still have a look and we can amend if needed later. But yeah, this is good. So one big question in terms of dual stack is that we have a lot of to-dos here and there. Are you going to continue working on this, or like what is your plan? Do you have plans to go on vacation? Somebody is going to replace you, or?
No, I would like to keep working on it. I think there's a phase 2 dual stack coming in. That's a major PR going into Kubernetes. There's a associated set of changes that need to be made into kubeadm, and I'm more than willing to just keep at it. There'll be changes on top of pod cider. For the most part, it's just supporting lists of ciders.
Yeah, that is the most important change, I guess.
Yeah, and I have no vacation plans. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Thanks. If you have any more questions like PRs or something, please update the ticket if you can. That is in the kubeadm repo with the items that we completed, so that we can keep track of the issue for this cycle.
I will. Thank you.
All right, thanks. So anybody else have anything else to add in the agenda? Because I wanted to look at the backlog for 116 and some of the PRs.
Maybe we can discuss the move of the validators outside of kubeadm to a new repo. Basically, there's this issue, and it seems like that Signode is fine with moving the validators to a new repo, which is the approach that Lubomir and I suggested, and I wanted to check with you guys if this seems fine to you.
So we had a very fruitful discussion at some point in time with you and Rosti that we spoke briefly about maybe these validators, some of them are completely not needed for kubeadm.
Yeah.
But probably the first step we can take is indeed, have the separate repo, and then we can decide what to do.
Yeah, so like I was thinking about moving them first, and then from there start refactoring and see if we can remove some of the code or refactor it.
Yes, I forgot the name of the issue.
I sent it on the chat lane.
In Slack or in the chat?
On the Zoom chat.
Okay. Yes. So I saw a comment from Random Lou. He's okay with this. He's the author of the validators, by the way. So Dim's requested a new repo. We should. Can you handle this, Yasin?
Yeah, I'm going to do it.
Yes, basically there has to be an issue in the org repo, and it's somebody is going to handle it. I think it's even a bot. I'm not sure. All right. So after this is done, we can close this ticket. It's part of the bigger import boss refactor. And this was one of the important soon items that we had there. So yeah, this is a very good resolution for us to have this new repository. Okay. Anybody else have topics before we move to the grooming? All right. So we have some new tickets in 116. Let me quickly open this. So one of the PRs by Fabrizio revealed that we didn't clean correctly one of the dependencies. And then I posted a comment that maybe our import boss is not working at all. I need to check this actually, because it seems to me like this particular dependency was not in the import boss, but it was tolerated still being present in the source code. So something is not right here. I'm going to check it later, unless Ed Bartosz does this before me. But if the import boss is not working, we have to fix it, because part of the refactor is to have the tool that blocks the imports to work in the first place. Okay, this is the new ticket for this. What else do we have? Kubernetes join control plane nodes, node times out. Yes, I think this is the one from Slack today.
It needs more information. I've already commented on the bottom of that one. I think it's just not complete at this time.
So our test signal is fine, but maybe the user is trying to concurrently join. I am going to add this comment, because if they're trying to join concurrently, unfortunately, we currently do not have end-to-end tests for concurrent control plane join. And we already said that we support this feature, but the tests are trailing behind, mostly because of my and Fabrizio's bandwidth. So I'm going to ask this question, like, are you joining concurrently? Because if they're joining concurrently, maybe the timeout is not enough. That's 40 seconds. I mean, it depends how fast the machines are as well.
Just one note, maybe this is just, they are pulling the container image and it's taking too long, for example. So yeah, we need more information.
Yes. So do we handle the pre-pull as part of this basically timeout? If that's the case, this is definitely not enough.
Yeah, I don't think we are pre-pulling before, unless I'm mistaken. But yeah, I don't think we are.
Did the user provide some? So he in on Slack he. Okay, let me look quickly here. Little question. This is the code that I think you added, Rafa.
I'm not sure.
These values I remember requesting them like these 5 to 8. Is completely arbitrary, of course. So do you think that you can have the time to take a look at this?
Yeah, I will make the time. Yeah, let's move on. I will take this one and ask the user for more information.
Because it feels to me like when this member is being added, at that point, it doesn't matter if we pre-pull him or not. We wait after the add member command. So we're basically waiting here for the cluster to be available. Yeah, okay. I'm going to assign you to this. If you please take a look if you can.
I already did. It's fine.
Oh, okay, thanks. Okay. So this is pretty amazing stuff. So back in the day when I started experimenting with Kubernetes somewhere around version 1.7.5 or something like that, I remember that joining a node that had the same name as the control plane node wasn't that big of a problem. It just the kubelet on the worker reported a bunch of errors. But nowadays, if you do this, the worker can break the control plane node in a such a way that the control plane components start restarting constantly, and they leak memory from what I'm seeing. And they leak memory, and at some point the node is so clogged that it's pretty much the components stop completely.
So it's definitely a degenerative behavior, but it should not leak memory. So that's a separate issue. We can mitigate the change with your change that we talked about, but the leaking memory is not okay. It should not get to that state.
Yes, basically, I tried to explain this to Jordan. I mean, it depends who is the operator of the cluster, because you can have an admin that has the ultimate privilege, but other users can be given tokens, like in the case of kubeadm, they can have bootstrap tokens, and some users can perform as many joins as they want, and they can make this mistake, and there are like small implication of attack vectors here, but Jordan is basically delegating this to the bootstrappers. He does not think that this is a good change in the kubelet. I sort of agree, but then, like you say, this memory leakage and race conditions, I think, should be fixed. Yeah. So my PR is a bit problematic because I forgot to think about the scenario when you join a worker, it fails, and then you try to rejoin the worker. My code is currently going to block this, which is not desirable. Also, the node restart, the cluster is going to keep the node as not ready. You restart the node, you try to join it again, and again, my PR is going to block that, which is not great. So I propose that we should talk about it possibly in the next meeting, like reserve more time for this, because it's kind of complicated. But I really think that we should add it to kubeadm. Maybe a warning.
I think bombing the join is fair. It shouldn't be joining if it already has the node is active or currently online.
Yeah, or if it's ready, especially if we are seeing this like major breakage in upstream Kubernetes. This definitely started happening somewhere between, maybe somewhere before the supports queue, maybe something like 110, 111, because I always join nodes by accident, and this wasn't the case before. Nowadays, I just see the control plane pods constantly restart, which is very disruptive.
Just a couple of
think
comments.
that
Go ahead.
yes. So I think that I agree we shouldn't join if the node is existing, or at least we should remove the existing node and add a new one. But this feels like this is something that belongs into kubeadm rather than kubelet.
I was going to say the same because I mean, kubeadm makes sense to have this, but it's true that if you are doing a concurrent join, this can happen still because race conditions will still exist unless this is baked into the kubelet. But yeah.
Yeah, for those that want to see more about the topic, please you can find this issue in the milestone. It's called reject a node. I suggest we move to the next one because this needs discussion. So single node failing control plane. So this is an actual bug. So during upgrade, we perform pre-flight checks. One of them is to check if, I mean, it's not correct to do this, but we check if the node, the control plane node is tainted. And in single control plane scenarios, the user does not taint the node. So, with the master taint. So this basically pre-flight check currently fails for single control plane scenarios, which is, some people do it. It's like a, mini cube, but using kubeadm. So I think we should fix this, but I don't have a good solution for it yet. Please have a look. If somebody wants to take it, I can assign them now. It's related to upgrades.
I can take it. I was going to say that if it will make sense to only skip this in case of we detect only one, but we need to list the nodes. So we are in the same situation as the previous issue, probably, right?
At least we need the same privilege to the group.
Okay, I'll try to give a look at this one. I will assign this to myself, if that's fine.
Okay, I want more people to also try to help with some of the tickets, if they can.
That's one, I promise.
Yeah, I mean, if something, I can, we do triage all the time, so we can reassign, it's not a problem. Okay, so tracking issue for changing the cursor. So we had something like 3 different issues that do the same. So I attempted to consolidate everything into this ticket.
It should be for 116 though. We're not going to do reconf.
Yes, for 116 we cannot do it. I wanted to see if Fabrizio wants to work on the document, but yeah, we should definitely move it to the next milestone. It is discussion. It is to do for proposal documents. Yeah. And Fabrizio, by the way, Tim, Fabrizio wanted to consolidate this into the operator issue, but I was thinking that maybe they are separate topics.
I don't think so. I think they're very overlapping because reconf is like kind of a if you have a declarative behavior, the operator should be able to roll out the reconf. So I think let's table this and talk about it another time because like we're definitely not going to do this for 116.
Yeah. Okay. What else we have here? So this is a ticket that somebody from, I believe, from the test infra folks created, that I need to update the documentation for test grid changes. It's not super important for now. Those stack support, we are working on that. Tests are not passing with unprivileged user. So yeah, I was able to, first I wasn't able to reproduce it, but then I realized that the problem is actually in the integration tests. It's not in the unit test. So if you call this command, so in kubeadm there is a folder. If you go to the KK CMD kubeadm, there is this test folder. And the test folder contains the integration test for kubeadm. We call them integration tests because they require you to have the binary, and you feed the binary with some flags, and then you expect results like, is this going to succeed, is this going to fail? And basically, if you look at the regular unit tests that are called with Go, Go test and the kubeadm namespace, the tests are fine, everything works. But the integration tests are broken. So yeah, I realized this.
I was a bit, I am not that sure because most of them are cached, as you can see on the output. Maybe if you try to run those forcefully, you're going to get that as well. I'm not sure.
It's cached before because I already run them like 5 minutes earlier. I'm pretty sure they work.
And the first time did you run them with an unprivileged user?
Yes, my terminal is always unprivileged.
Okay. Okay, then that should be fine, yeah.
I think it's not a problem with the integration, but yes, I don't want to assign you, Rafa, again to this. So, I mean, everybody, if you have time, please take a look. It should be, I mean, it might be not that easy to change. It might require some paths to be adjusted. Rafa, you closed your PR, I remember, because it was ended up a bit complicated, I think.
Yeah, it wasn't complete, but in any case, this is not pressing. For me, I mean, this was just some detail. We can punt this or move this to a different version. I mean, it's not pressing at all. So
Yes. So at this point, I think we entered some of the stuff that we already triaged in previous meetings. Maybe we can open the list of PRs. Let me see. By the way, I really appreciate help uh, if somebody can help me with because we have kubeadm as a separate repo, but people still post tickets in the Kubernetes repo. And the way I look for such tickets is I basically open the issues. Yes, and I do kubeadm here in the search bar. And today I closed some of them. Basically, some users like want to fix their crash walk for core DNS or something like that. And if something is not clear, I apply the triage support label. Let me see if I apply this. Yes. So they claim that it's a bug, but it's not really a bug. It's just something on their system. So I do the slash triage support, and I remove the kind bug. If something is actually important for kubeadm, what I do is I apply the /aria kubeadm label. If there is already this discussion on the ticket, but if there is no discussion, I ask them, please, I'm going to close this, please move this ticket to the kubeadm repo because that's where we track our tickets. Yeah.
We should generally just close even if there's discussion, because like you can transfer tickets nowadays. And if you need help transferring a ticket, just assign it to me and say, Tim, please transfer the ticket. And I have admin rights to transfer.
Okay. Usually I do a lot of triage in this repo. Something I don't do is watch the kubeadm channel because I'm very overbooked already. I think Fabrizio and Rosti are doing that. But yeah, I'm going to ask you if somebody is not moving their ticket. I'm going to ask you for that. Okay. Yeah. So if anybody has time, you can occasionally check. Look for the kubeadm label, and try to help me with that. Let's see some of the PRs we have right now. The way to look for the kubeadm PRs is pretty simple. You just have to filter by the area kubeadm label that is added automatically. if you touch something in the kubeadm folder. So this is from Ed Bartosz. We spoke about is he is trying to remove a stray dependency. So this, I saw it today, but I didn't have a deeper look. So again, they're doing something that I'm not happy with. They are adding a new field to the kubelet configuration. And that's in the public kubelet configuration.
Yeah, that'll never fly. You can't just do that.
Yeah, but I think that, so I have a couple of problems with the philosophy of the kubelet. One of them is that the kubelet configuration is claimed to be cluster-wide, which is, I don't agree with that, because there are some settings in there that touch resources. So you cannot apply a resource restriction to all the nodes with a single configuration object. That's the first thing I do not agree with the kubelet config. The other one is that they have been sticking to V1 Beta 1 for a very long time, and we have to bump. If you add new fields, basically the configuration has to be updated.
I really don't think, like, unless this is a kubelet developer on the node Signode team, ain't no way it's going to happen. So it's got to be assigned to Mike Taufin to get. And this does not look like a kubelet developer, or it might be. I don't know. I'd assign to Mike Taufin, to be honest.
Yes, but to be honest with you, I've seen this in the past. They definitely do it. They add fields and do not bump.
Well, there was a problem that happened with the proxy, and that goes against policy, right? You can't just add to a version, and we got ourselves in a major snafu for an upgrade scenario that happened around like the 110 timeframe, because there was no ability to do conversion across the previous renditions. So it totally violates policy. You can't just add in the middle of a field. At least if you do, you need to have, no, you can't, because like there's no way to do conversion.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen the same scenario in V1 objects, but I forgot which one exactly. And somebody on Slack asked, like, hey, shouldn't we be bumping to V2 Beta 1 for this? And Jordan replied that yes, we should, but
So there is a weirdness of adding things to V1 fields where that's considered okay under the scenario that it's omit empty. Like, what's really weird is, like, we've documented some of this, but I have not seen official policy on field additions for V1 objects, right? Like, every time I try to nail this stuff down, it's like we start talking about, like, what does the color blue taste like? And we just run in circles. At some point, we really need to, I don't know when it's going to come. I think we need to finish off our APIs to V1 across the board and get some stabilization, which will take on the order of a year to happen before we can actually really tackle some really thorny, complicated problems with our API.
yeah, one problem is that some APIs are moving much faster because of people's bandwidth. So if they really want to move further away from V1, move to V2, I think some of the API maintainers should be brave enough to introduce the V2 alpha, because the API machinery version, the upgrade, the life cycle of an API document explains that this is pretty normal, except that no API in Kubernetes have done it yet. Syncing everything to V1 might be actually a problem, because some APIs are going to start adding more and more to the V1 instead of bumping, and yeah. But yeah, this is something that I think we assigned the correct person to this one. Mike should take a look if this is appropriate or not. At least on the side of kubeadm, I always tell people that V1, Beta 1 and Beta 2 are locked. But we are still changing docs here and there. Okay. Yes, exactly that. This is the PR that Chuck sent the PR to fix some small problems in the Go doc for the APIs we have. It's nothing super special. Yes. Rossi and Fabrizio is going to approve that. Yeah, this was my PR. If you have any comments on the node name conflict, please have a look at this PR. It's called Prevent Bootstrap of Nodes with no names. This is the PR from Anvin there on the networking testing for the stack. So this is a PR I reviewed. It touches kubeadm because it is doing refactor of our logic that we have about splitting YAML documents. And I don't think the user, the contributor is working based on some discussion or a ticket, which is, I'm not sure what is going on there. So I'm going to assign working group component standard folks to this. Let me see if Rusty is already on this.
Yeah, I also reviewed it, but basically I think that Lucas or Lee simply told him something, and I'm not sure where this is actually going and what the design for this is.
This is just to break out the functionality into runtime, essentially. So this is required for multi-doc parsing, and component standard needs to be able to build additional libraries in component base, like Lubomir suggested from this. kubeadm isn't the only tool that needs to parse multi-doc things. So Lucas originally had a PR to rip this out, and Alex is the owner of this carry.
All right, thanks. This is good to know because we wasn't sure where the work is coming from. So please have a look, approve LGTM the PR if you think it's good.
I think it's at the point right now where Alex needs to respond to your feedback to update the tests so that the behavior is conformant with how it was before.
Yes. It's a minor adjustment. Okay. This was the MetaFactory PR. This is something I saw. So Chex a long time ago logged a ticket where he said that we use the errors wrap functions in a lot of places, but we never print a stack trace. So one of the proposals was to maybe print a stack trace for developers. So I had a look at basically the document that Kubernetes has in the community repo. And this document is, let me show you quickly. It's about listing the different, enumerating what are the meanings for the verbosity levels of klog, and before that guoc. So I looked at this and I saw that we have a trace level of verbosity. So a stack trace seems like a trace. So I send a PR basically to make the error when the final error, the kubeadm exits with an error. We grab this error, check if the kwog verbosity level is high enough, and we dump a stack trace of the error. This means that if somebody is working on kubeadm, hey, I want to see the stack trace of the error, I don't remember where this message is coming from, I can do this, and it's going to show me the list of functions that are being called. One question I had here is that if Iago responded with +1, if do we want to always show a default message like, hey, to see a stack trace of this error, execute with v5? I wanted to get feedback on this PR in this meeting.
I like that if there is an error, yes. If there is an error and you want to see for more details, rerun this command with -5. And I would say like not just that, but you should rerun the exact same command. Like give the output, or as the output of this, basically give them a copy paste full entirety statement.
It's kind of difficult because I have to go to Cobra and somehow get the command. I don't even know how to do that.
We could cache it from input, like this is the command that's been executed, and have it as a global cached variable.
Yeah,
like on input, we can parse the args across the different federated subcommand goo. You can actually do it on the first initial Cobra entry.
Yeah. Do you think I can add the message like that right now and it possibly extend it to?
Yeah.
Just one question here. Does this address only reproducible errors? So like if there's something related to arrays condition or something like that, I think that rerunning with the verbose might not give the error another time.
So this is going to catch. Let me show you the PR. Basically, for instance, we had K-walk fatal. Obviously, this is not going to catch it. But if we bubble up this error, it's going to eventually go into something like, for instance, like this one. This is in the main kubeadm file. And if we call this check error, we're going to catch a stack trace. But you're talking about Go routines and race conditions and things like that, correct?
Yes.
There's no way to, because basically the process is going to exit unless we add some sort of a exception handling. I don't even know how to do this in Go.
Just one comment regarding this. I I think this is good, but just one thing. And I think maybe Yasin was going along these lines. Most of our commands are not really idempotent, which means that if we run it once, maybe it already downloaded some container image. So when we rerun it with v5, we're not going to see the same error. Maybe we could create a temporary file when we have a backtrace under temp, and we say, okay, this kubeadm crashed, and you have the backtrace here on TMP without the need of providing v5 for more than that. But I mean, this is fine as it is for me as well.
I like that.
Yeah, one complaint that I mean, it's not a major complaint, but I have one complaint that we are already storing so much state on disk that we probably shouldn't do any more than that. We already we are all over the place in kubeadm. So, I mean, it's not a problem if somebody is using a kubeadm in a container, but
this will also maybe interfere with the machine output that we are going to work on as well. If something breaks, then it will mix with the machine output, maybe.
yes, it is definitely going to mix, but it's already mixing. And there has to be a way, but that's one of the reasons I'm adding it only for a very high verbosity level. So when you do machine readable output, to my understanding, everything over a V0 is going to be, which is going to interrupt the machine readable output. Everything that is more than V0. So every K-walk call is going to interrupt the output of in the terminal.
Yeah, that's right.
I think, to be honest, I think we can add this, and I would like to see the machine readable output solve some of these problems, because in a lot of places we call K-walk, it enters standard output with an error, but then if the user has to pipe the standard output to a file to accepting some sort of a JSON output, something like that, it's fine. But if we have other messages all over the place that output to something that is not part of the machine readable output in a separate Go routine, then we have a concurrency problem with pollution of the machine readable output. So it's a very interesting topic that I'm hoping that machine readable effort is going to solve this, but probably not for this cycle. So, I'm okay with if we close this PR. Do we want to vote quickly on this? I guess including this message. You can add your +1, -1. Tim, you wanted to say something?
I agree with Raphael on that because it's not idempotent, that adding the extra message there wouldn't necessarily reproduce the same results. But I think outputting a stack trace in a separate location seems okay, especially if it's temp. I don't know. I have to think about it. I don't think we should do it here. I think it requires a little more thought because it might be slightly nuanced. Because it's entirely possible that there could be, you can't just put it in temp because if there's potential security constraints around what command you are running. So I need to think about it.
Yeah, currently it's only standard error. So who wants to get assigned to this to have a look?
I want to get assigned to this. I can take a look.
Assign me to, please.
And me as well.
All right, thanks. How many minutes we have? 7. Customized core, we spoke about this. This is the PR by Fabrizio. It's under review at the moment. This is a cherry. Yes, this is technically a cherry pick where we forgot to update the kubeadm constants for control plane current Kubernetes version, minimal kubelet version, and we have to create a ticket to automate this. Rossi, do you want to create a ticket in Kubernetes kubeadm for this?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thanks. Because I'm going to forget again. At least for 1.16 we already updated them, which is good.
Real quick question. How long has your cherry pick PR been hanging out there forever? Like the release team has been really slow.
Yes, they are slow because I understood there are security problems, and I think they already announced
Yeah, they already announced.
maybe 3 CVEs in total, and they were holding every PR. I think mine was stuck for probably going to lie, but something like 2 weeks and a half. Okay, so we are already at the point where we reviewed this last time. So, okay, does anybody have any other topics they want to discuss? Or we can end early. All right, we're good. Thanks, everybody. See you next week.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thanks.